In the 2022 World Cup, Japan beat Germany. Then they beat Spain. Known as the Samurai Blues, Japan are now heading into the 2026 World Cup as one of the most exciting teams.
Japan are on a roll. Could potentially be the best performing Asian country at this summer's World Cup.
Their last 5 friendly games all ended up in wins, 5 in a row, and they did it without some of their key players. 2 of those wins, they defeated Brazil. They defeated England. It's time to face the truth.
This team is on fire, man. The Blue Samurai, baby.
So too, man. These guys are killers. These guys are steamrolling.
At what point will the world stop calling these wins an upset and start calling it a pattern? To understand how the Japanese are doing all this, we have to go back to where the belief was born. Most people outside Japan couldn't have named Japan's manager today, let alone before the 2022 World Cup. But that's exactly the kind of manager Hajime Moriyasu is. He's been in charge since 2018. Not a glamour hire, not a high-profile foreign coach brought in to make headlines. A Japanese man, a former player who had been part of the national setup for years before taking up the job. He now has the most games managed of anyone in Japan's history, and by far the best win percentage, just under 70%, across 8 years, against elite opposition. But here's the thing about Moriyasu that most analysis misses. He doesn't just pick the best 11 players, he builds a system and finds the players to fit in. Japan, under Moriyasu, lines up in a 4-2-3-1. But that shape is a disguise. The moment the game begins, it changes. Out of possession, 2 holding midfielders drop in front of the defense, closing the space between the lines and funneling the opposition wide. Then, Japan waits, and when the moment is right, they press as a unit and go. This is where most teams have no answer. Japan's transition from defense to attack is among the fastest in international football. They move the ball fast in quick forward combinations. In 2 or 3 passes, a team that looked organized is suddenly exposed. That's how they become giant killers, not by outpossessing them, not by dominating physically, by controlling the moments that matter and punishing the ones that slip. And crucially, Moriyasu has built enough squad depth that the system survives rotation. In the March international friendlies, he made 8 changes between the Scotland and England games. Same structure, same discipline, same result. 2 wins. This is not a team built around individual brilliance, it is a team built around philosophy. But let's take it back to the moment where they truly announced just how good they were. In the 2022 World Cup, Japan were drawn into the group of death, a group that contained Germany, Spain, and Costa Rica. Against Germany, Japan went down 1-0 early to a penalty. Everything was going as predicted at the time. Then, Moriyasu made his halftime changes. Ritsudon came on and equalized in the 75th minute. Then, Takuma Asano, who was not even a starter, scored one of the best individual goals of the entire tournament.
Lovely touch there from Asano!
Outrunning a World Cup defender, poking it past the keeper in the tightest of angles, Japan won 2-1. Then came Spain. Against one of the best teams Spain had ever assembled, coached by one of the best in the world. And by no means were Japan supposed to even make a dent in this team. And true enough, 11 minutes into the game, Alvaro Morata scored for Spain. Japan had to respond again, and respond they did. Doan once again leveled early in the second half for Japan. This moment was supposed to awaken the sleeping Spanish team, but before they could react, Japan scored a controversial goal. The ball appeared to have gone out of play by the curvature of the ball alone. It had not. Tanaka scored from that cross, and Japan hung on to win 2-1. Almost nobody gave them a realistic chance of qualifying from the group, let alone topping it. But Japan showed the world their tactical intelligence and a work ethic that is terrifying for any opponent. They set the record as the first Asian nation to reach the knockout stage in 2 consecutive tournaments. They were the only team to beat 2 former world champions in the same group stage. Against Spain, they also set a World Cup record for a winning team with the lowest ball possession in tournament history, controlling the ball just 17.7% of the time. They were knocked out by Croatia in the round of 16 on penalties, but since then, Japan lost just 3 games in 3.5 years. For context, Portugal and France have lost more in the same time frame. Usually, that's not what giant killers look like. Giant killers produce one extraordinary result and then lose to someone they shouldn't. But Japan hasn't. In fact, they're currently on a 6-game unbeaten run. And whatever you thought you knew about this team, well, they're even better than that. Japan has stopped being a giant killer. They are the team to beat. Late last year, Japan came back from 2-0 down at halftime against Brazil to win 3-2. No team had ever trailed by 2 goals against Brazil at halftime and come back to win. Japan did. Then, in March 2026, they beat Scotland 1-0. And then, at Wembley, they silenced England with another 1-0 victory. Japan became the first Asian nation in history to beat England at Wembley. But there's more. In those 2 games, Japan did not just win. They won while missing Wataru Endo, their captain, Takefusa Kubo, Takumi Minamino, and Tomoyasu, who are, by a margin, their best players. That is the clearest proof of what Moriyasu has built. Japan is not a team that relies on stars. They have a proven system that can cause real damage. Mitoma is another key player for Japan, but he suffered a hamstring injury that rules him out of the tournament. But even without him, Japan is still a powerhouse which we can't ignore. Now, the squad has been announced. These are the players we need to take note of. Endo from Liverpool is the country's captain. The engine, the player who gives every attacker around him the freedom to take risks, because he covers everything behind them. Without him, Japan would cope, but with him back, they are a different team. Hiroki Ito at Bayern Munich, left-footed. He can play centre-back or left-back at the elite level. He brings composure and clean progression down Japan's left side. There's also Tomoyasu at Ajax. If you haven't heard of him, then it needs to be said. This is their most complete defender. He's a player with recovery pace, aerial presence, and tactical intelligence across multiple positions. Even though he has barely played for Japan over the past 2 years due to injuries, his return to the squad is the biggest offensive news in the announcement. In goal, Zion Suzuki is 23 and playing in Serie A at Parma. Athletic, aggressive off his line, comfortable with the ball at his feet. The ceiling on this goalkeeper is genuinely exciting. Takefusa Kubo at Real Sociedad is Japan's creative ceiling. Low center of gravity, intelligent movement, a left foot that can unlock defensive lines. When Japan needs a moment of individual quality to break something open, Kubo is where they look. Ritsu Doan gives balance, discipline, and a proven end product. At Freiburg, across 4 seasons, 26 goals, 23 assists in 123 appearances. He scores in big games. He scored in a World Cup already. He will score in this one. Ayase Ueda leads the line and has answered the striker question Japan have been asking for years. He scored the winner against Brazil in the comeback and is looking like the most complete Japanese number 9 in a generation. And then there's Keito Nakamura. 10 goals in 22 appearances for Japan. Still only 22 years old. He was the one who set up the winner at Wembley. He steps into the left-wing role, left by Mitoma, and he's not a downgrade. He's a different kind of threat. These players are not learning elite football on international levels. They are living it every single week. That is the foundation of everything Japan does. Japan head into World Cup 2026 in Group F, alongside the Netherlands, Sweden, and Tunisia. They qualified as a Pot 2 team, an upgrade from their previous Pot 3 placement, which reflects how far the federation's work has genuinely improved. The Netherlands will be their biggest challenge in the group. They like to control the ball and dominate possession, which puts Japan in a position to defend deep and wait. Ironically, this is exactly what they've proven they can do. When Japan finds the moments to punish them on the counter, Netherlands might be a walk in the park for them. Tunisia is the trickier puzzle. They are expected to sit deep and suffocate Japan's movement, which historically has caused Japan more problems than facing an open attacking team. That game could be slow, frustrating, and decided by a single moment of quality. If Japan advances from the group, and the expectation is that they do, they could face a team from Group C coming the other way, which is likely to feature Morocco or Brazil. Here's the interesting thing about that. Japan has better results recently against attacking open sides than against defending disciplined ones. Brazil, for all its name, suits Japan. They've already beaten them. Morocco, who defend the way Atletico Madrid defends, would be a more complicated proposition. In the last 4 World Cups, Japan has reached the round of 16 4 times, and every single time they've reached that stage, they've fallen at it. And the exits share a common thread with where the game moves away from Japan's preferred structure. When it gets physical or chaotic or goes to penalties, the cracks appear. But heading into the 2026 World Cup, there's a genuine belief that they might do better this time. The giant killer tag is over. Japan is now considered a top team, ranked 18th in the world. Japan has proven they can actually win. But the question now is, can they go all the way? Japan are not the favorites to win the 2026 World Cup. They probably won't win it, but they might be the team that ruins it for whoever does. They are smart enough to hurt anyone, organized enough to frustrate anyone, fast enough to punish anyone, and this time, for the first time, they have the depth, the maturity, and the belief that the round of 16 is not where their story ends. Let us know what you think. How far do you think Japan will go this summer?